this video, I'm going to talk about balancing ledgers and preparing a trial balance. If you haven't watched my video on double entry bookkeeping, I'd recommend you do so, because we'll pick up the accounts we prepared in that video and use them to balance and then prepare the trial balance. And then, as usual, in case you want to see the book on which these slides are based, you can scan the QR code or go to the link shown on the screen. In order to balance a ledger account, you will follow the following steps. 1. Add the debit side and the credit side. 2. Identify which side is larger. 3. Get the amount for the side that is larger and put it both on the debit and credit side. 3. Identify which side is not balancing and put a balance carried down on that side, and then move the balance brought down to the other side. For us to understand how this is done, let's look at an account. This is a cash account we prepared in the double entry bookkeeping video, but we didn't balance it. So the way you balance it is that, number 1, you add the debit side and identify the total. You add the credit side to identify the total, compare the debit and credit, and pick the higher amount. So the higher amount was the debit side, so we're going to put that on both sides of the cash book. Next, you look at whether the debit side and credit side are adding up, and you'll see that the debit side is adding up but the credit side is lower. So you get that balance and put it on the credit side and describe it as a balance carried down. Then you get the balance carried down and take it on the other side as a balance brought down. Now we fully balance the cash account. We can now interpret what we have here. So what this means is that we have a balance brought down of 5,500, which implies that the cash account has 5,500 or 5.5 million. Notice that we have the thousands on top there, and so it has 5.5 million. So the business has 5.5 million at the beginning of February. We can do the same for another account. Here we've got a trade payables account which hasn't been balanced. So we add the debit side, it gives us 800. We add the credit side, it gives us 2,000. So 2,000 is the higher amount, so we'll put it on both sides of the account. Next, we check to see which side is not balancing. So the debit side is not balancing, and so we'll put a balance carried down on that side. After putting the balance carried down, we can bring that down and call it a balance brought down. So now we've balanced the trade payables account. And the interpretation of that balance is that as at 1st February 2025, or whichever year you are working with, the business owes $1.2 million. So the thousands there are going to be put back when we're interpreting. Now that we know how to balance an account, we can go back to the accounts we didn't balance in the previous example and then balance them, and then we prepare the trial balance. So to balance the accounts, we start with the cash book or the cash account. So we add the debit side and credit side and identify that 11,000 is a higher amount. Then the balance carried down is going to be 4,500 credit, so that the balance brought down will be 4,500 debit. We can go to the trade payables account, which we already balanced. So we put 1,000, which is the higher amount, and then the balance carried down will be 200 and 200 balance brought down. So we can do the same for the other accounts, and I'll do that just quick. So now that we're done preparing those, we can then now prepare a trial balance. A trial balance is basically a list of balances brought down from each of those accounts. So the trial balance will be prepared as follows. In the case of cash, the cash account had a balance brought down of 4.5 million. So we'll simply get that 4.5 million debit and put it in the trial balance as so. Next, there's a trade payables account which had a balance brought down of 200 credit. So we simply get that and put it in the list of balances as a credit balance. We have a trade receivables balance of 5,000 or 5 million debit. So we'll simply get that and put it in the trial balance. Next, we have rent for 200. We simply get that and put it as rent 200. The next balance we have is the sales, which was 6,500 balance brought down credit. So we'll get that and simply put it on the credit side of the trial balance. Next, we have purchases whose balance was 5 million brought down debit. So we'll get those and put them on the debit side. We'll get the van account figure and we're going to enter it on the debit side of the trial balance. The next one is capital, which was 10,000 or 10 million credit. So we'll get the 10 million and enter it on the credit side. So we've entered all the balances in the trial balance. Next, we just need to total it up. We total the debit side and the credit side. Ideally, if all the double entries were done properly, we should balance the trial balance. If it doesn't balance, it means there's an error somewhere, and that is something we're going to do in another chapter when we talk about the trial balance, errors, and the suspense account. In our case, if there are no errors, this should balance. So if we add both the debit side and credit side, we get 16,700 or 16.7 million. Therefore, we've balanced. The trial balance has been prepared. So just to recap, today we've talked about how to balance ledgers. We've talked about how to extract a trial balance. As you can see, we've spoken a bit about the uses of a trial balance, and we've reminded each other that if a trial balance doesn't balance, then there could be errors and there will be need to prepare a suspense account. So this is where this video ends. We'll see you in the next one.